Stakes. In a story, stakes are the wins or losses of the characters when a conflict is playing out. They are what gives the reader tension and excitement for what's going to happen. So, why am I talking about World Trigger's stakes? Well, one of the biggest parts of World Trigger is the fact that when characters fight, they are in a Trion body that takes on all of the damage. And even when the Trion bodies are destroyed with the bailout system, the characters will be sent back to their base completely fine. This system by itself gives off the feeling that there are no stakes in the fights. After all, in fighting, if the viewers know that the characters are going to make it out of it okay, then there's no tension, especially in a battle shounen. But in World Trigger's case, it actually works out better this way. What do I mean by this? Well, having a safety net like bailout in the series makes moments where the characters die even more intense. It also adds more unpredictability to fights, since any characters can win or lose most of the time, since they will be fine, makes the result of the fight feel more suspenseful. World Trigger's writing has made it so it can have high stakes without having things like death, while also making times the characters do die hold more impact instead of overusing it for every confrontation that happens in the series. This is why the main focus, much like in real-life battles, revolves around the resources at the end of each fight, such as the public's response to Border defending the city, or even some of their equipment that is hard to make, like their expedition ship. They make sure to focus on the bigger picture during these fights, because yes, fights are important, but it's also the things surrounding the fights that make them important. People can lose fights, but an organization like Border losing resources affects everyone and slows down their progress. Without giving away spoilers, this is where you should pause the video to go watch the series if you haven't already. If you have chosen to stay, then expect major spoilers for World Trigger's anime Season 2 and Volume 14 of the manga. An example of a fight that had high stakes despite no one's life being on the line was Galopuela's invasion arc, where a squad of neighbors infiltrated Border in order to destroy the away mission ship. This is a high stakes fight because our main characters will be set way far back in their goal if the ship is destroyed, as it isn't easy to recreate. Everything is depending on the characters sent to defend the hangar where the ship is, as well as the other agents holding off a small army of Trion soldiers, the main fighting force of neighbors when they invade. The reason why this setback is something to be concerned about is because our main characters want to go to the neighborhood, a cluster of planet nations where their neighbors live. Perhaps the biggest contributing factor to this conclusion, pulling in the readers/watchers, is that no one's life is on the line, meaning the result can go either way, really making the reader/watcher guess and pay attention to what the characters are doing to stop it. Stakes in a story don't always have to revolve around death, especially in a story such as World Trigger, which focuses more on strategy as one of its core themes than the death wars can cause. One of World Trigger's greater theming is strategy, not tragedy. This isn't to say tragedy and death aren't involved in World Trigger's story, but more often than not, strategy takes center stage over those two. Strategy's role in World Trigger is used to show character growth and coordination, while themes like death and tragedy are used mainly to explain a character's motivation, not to cause growth or establish stakes. An example of this is with one of our main characters, Yuma Kuga. The reason why he came to Earth was in hope of finding a way to bring his dad back to life after his father sacrificed his life to save Yuma when he disobeyed his father's orders to not fight. This experience certainly changed Yuma, causing him to be more inclined in following orders from those he trusts, but it wasn't used to establish stakes or for his growth, as his growth started when he became a member of Border, meeting new people, making friends, and finding a new purpose with his friends. With characters not holding back in fights, and death being removed from the equation, it only leaves the strategic complexity in fights. With the limitation of death removed, Ashihara is able to go full in on fights, since none of his characters are at the risk of death. But that doesn't mean the risk of losing a fight is lost, because having a strong character being taken out of the fight during a critical moment is just as impactful as them dying, since they won't be there to assist. Wins and losses can be shocking too, as losing a one-on-one fight doesn't always mean that person's team will lose. With Ashihara's writing, he was able to eliminate the risk of sacrificing his characters while also making the fights in World Trigger have great meaning and stakes all at once. I am not making this video to argue that World Trigger's way of writing is superior to all other battle shonen. After all, any idea or story can be good or bad. It all just depends on how good the author uses that idea in their writing. What I'm doing is reassuring people who have doubts about the series when they only hear certain parts about it. If you're looking for something cool, strategic, emotional, and meaningful, World Trigger does these in spades. So rest assured that World Trigger is something great and definitely worth your while. If you finish watching this video, please watch this other video if you want to know more about World Trigger, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already, so I can make more awesome videos like this in the future. See you later.